just got a thoughts. Let me go and just spit it out. It's disempowering. Christ telling us not to sacrifice is for the simple fact for us to be hurried to transition to permanent salvation with Christ. He said he's gonna speed up his coming for his elect's sake. When he understands and knows that some individuals are manifesting against the God he resonated with when he sacrificed, when he was supposed to walk the earth, as well as after he was sacrificed. That's why he made sure to show his disapproval of sacrifices, because he knows that there are people that are going to try to use and counter him and God in manifestations to stay in the old world, to hold on to the old ways of being, the sin and the evil. And he knows that God and him, when they came down to clean up all messes. So him pushing over the table when of the Pharisees and Sadducees, whatever the name, was a form of cleansing and tearing down the old temple, the old ways, because he knows he was there to transition us to the new heaven, new earth, new body, to be of nobody, no sin, nobody, no transgression. That's why he used it a lot. Nobody this, nobody that, because our objective is to beat this sin and evil, to transition from this world. But it's unfortunate that some still wants to be here because they have access to the evil sin, and for their perspective is freedom. The blood rituals that they do, from their perspective, it is empowering because they're holding on to more of the material aspects of living, the flesh. But Christ wants us to look beyond the flesh and be more of the spirit, to return back to what we were before we ate of the fruit and learned of evil and good, because we was once of just good and of spirit. But eating that fruit, Lord of nature, and from then on, it's just been this battle of good and evil, or trying to maintain balance, dealing with temptations and all these stuff, and you're choosing your preferences, and if it's aligning with who you deciding to serve, or who you're aligning with. If you're aligning with Christ, or are you aligning with some other deity or being or demon, whatever. But the purpose of not sacrificing, the purpose that he told us not to indulge in the blood rituals, was his intentions was to, he knew who he was battling. That's why he said that, because he knows that that's their source, that's part of the source of their abilities or power, and he knows that they're evil at heart, by heart. Even says in John, I think it was 2:13, that he didn't want to be around them because he already read them. He already knew of their hearts without even, I'm going to show you. I think I already said that in the last one. I'm going to say it right here. John 2:23. While Jesus was in Jerusalem during the Passover festival, Many believed in him as they saw the miracles he performed, but Jesus did not trust himself to them because he knew them all. There was no need for anyone to tell him about them because he himself knew what was in their hearts. He knew that they loved the earth more than God or the God that he was sent by. He knew that their hearts were wicked and that they loved material and profiting more than the salvation of the masses, the soul salvation. He knew that their intentions weren't pure. So that's why he said and did how he did. Because he knows that they're using their sacrifices, they're using blood rituals, blood magic to manifest the life that they want while hurting others in the process, harvesting. We see that in that same John 2. John 2:13, just that whole 13 through 21. The whole incident with the table thing. They're bringing their offerings, they're bringing the animals to be sacrificed. They're giving of their coins, or they're paying them to help indulge in these sacrifices. But who's on the top? Who's mostly receiving the benefits of it? The Pharisees and Sadducees, the ones who's leading the packs, which are the people coming in, the ones who so the ones who's leading, and the ones who's helping them, and it trickle on down from there. So it's a harvesting ritual thing, blood ritual, and he understands who he's fighting against. That's why I say, who do you really work for? You gotta know. You gotta know. And Christ knew exactly who he was working for, and he knew who he was fighting up against. So yes, he intentionally is disempowering the enemy, because these individuals are benefiting off the oppression of the masses. So that's why he says things like don't sacrifice, because he know who he's specifically fighting up against, and he knows these people or these beings, they use blood magic to manifest, and they harvest off of the ignorance and the resources of the masses. So he knew exactly who he was fighting up against. And he wants us to rely and fight and align ourselves with Christ, with him, and with God, with Yeshua. That's why I say just Yeshua. I don't like to use God because it's a common term, and it's rumors running around saying God is God. It's not the same. You worshiping your oppressor and all that. So I just say Yeshua, and my will goes where it needs to go, because my intentions of who you working with, it will find the right being, the being that is trying to end this, because they know my intention is to help them end this world, and transition us to permanent salvation, that I call it, a world where we can, like you said, a fresh start to be of goodness. Because I knew that's what Christ's intention was, to stop these beings, these people who torment other people and keep them in a state of lacking, bare minimum. Do you want to be in this world? Like, maybe he's trying to manifest, like I said, manifest a better world here. But I would think that you would want to just transition into a better place. Just start over again. The new heaven, new earth, a new reset, a new start, the reset. How can you do that if you constantly trying to fighting them, going up against them, and trying to manifest it here in this realm? You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So it's best to not procreate and just go instinct to permanent salvation.